Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the adorable scaly Lizardmen, going to be taking on the Bretonnians, so let's go ahead and take a look at the army composition. As you can see, I've gone very wide here with lots of infantry. Got Kroq-Walker on foot with his Temple Guard bodyguard here. 2 units of Cold One Spear Riders. We've got a bunch of skink cohorts, some with javelins, some without. Looks like 2 with javelins, 3 without. Front line of some Saurus spears. We've actually got 3 Saurus spears. I haven't used them much before, but in certain situations I do think that Saurus spears can be pretty decent. They don't have as good of combat stats in terms of their attack. Their total weapon strength is less, with less AP than regular Saurus, but of course that bonus versus large definitely applies. We've also got 1 unit of skink skirmishers, a skink priest, lore of beasts, just because I wanted to try out Amber Spear, just so y'all would stop bugging me about it. So we'll see how that does. Laser Lizard, of course, and good old Gary, the Revivification Crystal. And that's pretty much it for my build. If we look at the Bretonnians here, he's got a Field Trebuchet, front line of some Spearmen-at-Arms mixed with regular Men-at-Arms, no shields to be seen. 1 unit of Knights Errant going on a quest already. There's lots more cav though. Companions of Cornell, Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis, another questing knight, and another Knights Errant, with 3 Knights of the Realm in the back. One of them is the Regiment of Renown, Knights of the Lion-Hearted. So we'll see if the chivalrous ones are able to get some work done here. You can see right off the bat, oh, Fanchantress, of course, leading the Bretonnians. I did fail to mention, she's got her typical kit, nothing too surprising there. But yeah, we've already blasted down one of these Field Trebuchets, and because Trebuchets are relatively big targets, the Laser Lizard can pretty reliably get hits against them. More than that, he's also applying the blinded effect, which is definitely more useful on artillery. You get more value out of it on artillery, but these Knights Errant got a little bit over-aggressive here. They did manage to get on my skink skirmishers, but Saurus Spear's going to waddle on in and start cleaning things up. Man, actually, I love the spears they carry. I think they look super cool with those obsidian tips. But anyway, they're going to get hunted down. We were also rear charging here with the Cold One Spear Riders, and the idea with the Cold One Spear Riders is we're going to play pretty conservative with them and just kind of counter-charge the Bretonnian cav whenever they come in to try and block up their mass. We've got Skink Cohort chucking javelins and Men-at-Arms, and this is one fight where Skinks will actually do quite well. You can see them mixing it up with the Men-at-Arms here. They're definitely going to do well. Unfortunately, no water to make it aquatic for them, but still. You can see, having blasted out pretty much all of the unit models of the Trebuchet, that's going to force my opponent to come down off the hill and meet me in the flat area here. There goes the last of the Trebuchets, and zapping a few peasants while we're at it. Glorious. But yeah, you can see these questing knights coming in for an alpha strike here. Excuse me, guys. They're coming in trying to get on the solar engine, but between Gary, the solar engine, and all the skinks on station, they're going to have a pretty bad time here unsupported, so the Bretonnian chivalry is incoming, though. Just lance charges all across the board here. We're going to meet these Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis with the Cold One Spear Riders. This is an engagement that the Cold One Spear Riders will actually do quite well in, but other Cold One Spear Riders being used to block up these Knights Errant and some other units here. Again, we're just trying to use them to bog down enemy cavalry as much as possible. Kroq-Walker and his Saurus squad are pushing forward as well, trying to get into the appropriate engagements. I'm a little bit overextended with these Cold One Spear Riders. They're probably going to get dragged down at this point, although we do still have some Saurus spears on support. But yeah, it looks like I am pulling them back through the skinks here, and the noose of the Saurus is quickly closing around this big Bretonnian blob of cav. The Fanchantress doing her best, throwing out an Earthblood there, upgraded, but we're also going to start throwing down some Flocks of Doom. Haven't actually caught any of the Amber Spears. Let's see if we can actually watch one go off here. But yeah, Gary the Revivification Crystal mixing it up here as well with the Questing Knights. They'll do some damage to him, but we're going to quickly bring in some support as well. Looks like the Fanchantress is going to be dropping a bombardment there on that big blob of Skinks and Cold One Spear Riders. That's pretty solid. Amber Spear comes in, and it honestly does pretty subpar damage, about the same as the Solar Engine, maybe a bit less, but honestly I'm a bit underwhelmed by Amber Spear. And I think another issue is, and I was discussing this with Lore Master of Sotek when we were talking about Amber Spear in general, is that Amber Spear doesn't have that good of an explosion, and at a high angle it won't pass through that many models. So I actually think the Amber Spear is going to be better if you're on the ground to cast like sideways through a unit. And up in the air, I haven't really had too much success with it. But anyway, you can see the Saurus and the Cold One Spear Riders grinding it out here, and more Bretonnian cav getting dragged down into the mud. And yeah, definitely not great for them at this point. Fanchantress, again, trying to do what she can to keep things healed up, but the balance power is already starting to shift, despite the fact that we still have quite a while left in terms of the length of the battle. Another Amber Spear going down. The Fanchantress, again, Amber Spear doesn't hone in like a lot of the other magic missiles, so it's not going to track your opponent, so it's quite easy to dodge as well. That one was a clean miss there, but Revivification Crystal still a bit surrounded by questing knights, but the skink support there is definitely helpful. Just overwhelming numbers is the way that skinks win, similar to like a Skaven or a Goblin unit. They have 120 unit models base, so they can definitely get some work done in that aspect. Yeah, some knights have rallied here. Bretonnians trying to reform over on this part of the battlefield. The Companions of Cornell doing quite well, though. Their raw combat stats are so good that they're going to be pretty tough to take down. The Temple Guard are really going to be the best tool I have for taking them down, but it looks like we're getting a little bit discombobulated here and not fully charging through, but another nice hit from the Laser Lizard there on the Fanchantress. Skink Priest, Lord of Beasts, is also probably going to try and charge down into combat here, maybe, or maybe throw another Amber Spear at her. But yeah, over here, the Cold One Spear Rider is being used to bog down a bunch of cav, while the Saurus Spears advance in. Once again, the Cold One Spear Riders have managed to stay online, which has been very helpful. But they are going to get recharged by the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis here, which will probably be the end of them. The Fanchantress also coming in, providing that Mortis Engine effect and the -5 melee attack from the this little lady. So yeah, you can see Cold One Spear Riders aren't that great in terms of their stats. What really carries them is their weapon strength and their anti-large bonus. But yeah, they are going to be routed off here, unfortunately. But the Knights of the Realm that were in there are also going to be routed off. Knights of Lionhearted are still online, as are these Companions of Cornell, but Companions of Cornell definitely going on a quest somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where, but they're chasing down some routing skinks to the corner of the map, which is a bit unfortunate. My opponent could definitely use them to support. It's a little bit far to come back on the balance of power, but Lizardmen are pretty slow. You know, if you have a lot of cav left and they don't have a ton of mobility, you can sometimes cycle charge out a win, although cycle charging Saurus is really hard because they have the heaviest mass. I don't know if it's actually the heaviest mass, but it's some of the heaviest mass of any infantry in the game. So it really makes it tough to knock them over, and if your units get saturated, like if they charge through and somehow get into the middle of the unit, they're not going to be able to pull out easily, just because Saurus have such insane mass. That goes for Temple Guard as well, of course. But yeah, you can see Gary the Revivification Crystal kind of being a distraction Bastiladon at this point, soaking the charge of some of these knights that are remaining as we finish off some of the peasants. And yeah, Saurus Spears, despite the fact they've got spears, will just crap all over these peasants here. That being said, looks like the lady's going to be dropping another bombardment here. I'm going to try and path through, but of course some of my lizards will get stuck here, which is a bit unfortunate, but it shouldn't be terrible. We took a little bit of damage, but not as bad as it could have been, certainly. But yeah. This point, it's mostly just in the cleanup phase. We've got questing knights over on the far part of the battlefield being chased by some enraged Saurus. Really, the main part of the engagement is Kroq-Walker trying to finish off what's left of the Bretonnian cavalry here, and of course the Fanchantress herself, which they are going to try and pull away here, but I've got the Bastiladon and the Skink Priest here to help kind of block up their mass a little bit and try and bog down some of their models. Like you can see this guy right here. This poor defender of the Fleur-de-Lis is definitely in the wrong neighborhood. Yeah, just like that. That's what we were hoping for with the heavy mass units there. And same thing with the Fanchantress, blocking her up with the Skink Priest here. Kroq-Walker's going to come in, do a diving tackle on that Bretonnian knight there, and continue to chase onwards. So yeah, at this point it's going to be mostly a cleanup, so we'll fast forward a little bit through this endgame stage as we're just kind of chasing for a while. We do manage to catch some men-at-arms here. The questing knights get shattered. The Fanchantress actually comes down here, but the Laser Lizard's going to have something to say. Questing knights come back from their quest, and now we're going to get the final stand of the Bretonnians up against this kind of rock formation here. These Companions of Cornell with their beautiful Argyle pattern. I guess it's not technically Argyle, but whatever. Diamond-shaped pattern. Gonna get in here. Fanchantress also using her Fey Drain and, you know, other effects here. But yeah, it's going to be victory for the Lizardmen in just a moment, so we'll continue to soak up some beautiful cinematics. Companions of Cornell are definitely, in my mind, one of the top tier cavalry in the game. they have just great raw stats, and the fact that they do armor-piercing damage means that despite the fact they're not like a shock cavalry per se, they still have a decent charge bonus, but they're not like a shock cavalry like in the way that Blood Knights or Grail Knights are. But just the fact that they have such heavy AP makes them one of the best Swiss Army knife calves in the game, where they can fight large, they can fight infantry, they can fight just about anything relatively well, just due to their awesome stats. But anyway, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let's see here. In terms of the army breakdown, you can see Saurus Spears did quite well. Obviously, they weren't too challenged by the peasants, and 105 kills on these guys, and an XP Chevron were able to do quite well. The Cold One Spear Riders also acquitted themselves very nicely here, 60 and 45, and 127 kills on a unit of Skink Cohorts. They must have got a hold of some peasants, something fierce, or maybe they just connected with a lot of their javelins on some peasants. I'm not really sure, but Stilodon also racking up an XP Chevron, taking out that Trebuchet, and then also just applying that blind effect across the board and shooting the Fae a bit. Didn't actually do that much damage to the Fae. The Stilodon, I think, the main benefit to it is that blinded effect, but it also, of course, sniping out that Trebuchet was definitely helpful. Let's see here. Temple Guard also 76 and an XP Chevron. That's to be expected against a very heavy Cav Force like what my opponent brought here. For my opponent's build, the Companions of Quenelle, you can see, did very well, as did these other Questing Knights. So I think maybe if he had just retooled this Cav Force to be a little bit more Questing Knight focused, it may have gone a bit better for him. Honestly, I'd probably just cut the Trebuchet. I don't think this has a place in the Lizardmen matchup whatsoever. So I would definitely cut the Field Trebuchet and apply those points to upgrading like these Knights of the Realm, or maybe even the Knights Errant, to some Questing Knights, because they'll do quite well against the Saurus. Even Saurus Spears, just because they have good stats, they have AP, they can do well against the... I mean, Saurus don't have great armor. It's 60. I think Temple Guard are like 90. So they'll do well, but again, they're good against the Dinos as well because of the AP, and there's some other benefits as well. But I do think this is one of the tougher matchups for Bretonnia, certainly. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below, though. What kind of build would you take as Bretonnia against the Lizardmen? Personally, like I said, I think I would go a bit heavier on the Questing Knights. Fae Enchantress can be decent, but I think Lewin also might not be a bad pick here either, just because you can get down and get some aggressive charges, do some heavy AP damage. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.